I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gargano Show!
Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY's Anthony Gargano Show. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games this morning. Joining me today, very fun show. Someone I don't think I've ever got to work with before. From our Eagles beat, it is Zach Berman. What's going on today, Zach?
Hey, doing great. Excited for the show.
Me too.
When Vince asked about this, I was like, yeah, I get to work with Bill. This is awesome. I've watched that introduction so many times. I've never sat next to you during it, so that's pretty cool.
It's it's how I wake myself up,
Yes.
especially when we do these early shows. So we're back from 4th of July holiday, and I just figured I just kind of wanted to BS with you a little to start today. And I love 4th of July. It was a real fun weekend. My family and I goes down the shore. What did you what'd you end up doing this weekend?
Yeah, similar thing as you, the shore. My kids are 8 and 6. It was the first time they were up old enough. They stayed up late enough for the fireworks.
Oh, that's great.
So seeing that through their eyes was pretty awesome.
Yeah, my niece and nephew, they'll be 8 in August. So this was like, okay, like this is the first time I like hung out with them and like it was cool.
Yep.
Like, oh, you're not a jerk yet, but you kind of like understand stuff, like going to the arcade and everything, and like watching the fireworks with them was great. But it reminded me, I just saw this story, 10-year anniversary of the JPP incident, and it's crazy. It's been 10 years, and I wanted to make that our Golden Nugget Jewelers Nug of the Day. It was the 10-year anniversary of JPP blowing up his one hand, and it's a shame, but like it is. Kind of ridiculous still to think 10 years later. This is a reference I make all the time. I was just telling, we were in Sea Isle, we're out on the deck like all day, the 3rd and 4th. It's like sirens going off like every hour or so. A couple of my buddies will just be like, JPP, right? Like that's
exactly.
This is just what happened. This is where that ambulance is going, and like it's still a thing, and it's been 10 years.
Yeah, I was discussing that with my son this weekend. It's crazy to think JPP's had, he had a real productive NFL career. But that's kind of how he's associated. Even I said within football and beyond it. Oh, he's the fireworks guy.
Yeah, he's got 2 Super Bowl rings. I just saw the story on ESPN, like 94 and a half sacks. He was awesome. But that's it. Like that is always his legacy. And now he does like motivational speaking and like tells kids about the dangers of fireworks. So I guess something good came of it, but put it on the ground and then light it. It's just, that's stupid.
Yeah.
It's a grenade. Don't do that. Please don't. But I'm glad you're at least able to educate your kids using the mistakes of Jason Pierre-Paul.
I just tell them like, let's let someone else do it, right? Someone who knows that, I would trust myself talking about JPP. I wouldn't trust myself lighting up the fireworks. I covered JPP when he got into the league. I was covering the Giants back then. I remember sitting in a Stop and Shop in North Jersey. He was doing like a promotional appearance. And his father was blind at a young age, right? And so JPP always kind of learned from that. And now he's in a situation where he's probably telling his kids the same thing. Like, you got 10 fingers, you're all right.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I guess that has to be the takeaway. But other than that, I love the 4th of July. I love that it's such a, like everyone heads down the shore.
Yes.
Like that is what everybody does. My family gets a house every year. For years, my in-laws had a house. Then when they sold it, now always like block off that week.
Yes.
you're going down, and it's always a great time. What town are you? What's
so
your
like
place?
so like the Margate area.
Okay.
I'm there, and I do need to say I love the shore, and we can talk about that. But a pet peeve of mine that I've always had that was kind of rectified this year was I think the Phillies should always be home on July 4th. And these past 2 years,
They haven't even played.
Yeah. So they were in. Let's see. They were in Atlanta one of the years. They were in Tampa Bay one of the years. And to me, like I associate baseball and I associate July 4th with Philly. So I was down the shore, but I was watching the Phillies game, and I'm like, that's where baseball should be. There should be, if you can have Thanksgiving football in Dallas every year, you should be able to have baseball on July 4th every year. They've only had it once since 2021.
And that's nuts, honestly. This is it. This is what we're celebrating.
Yeah.
It's this place.
Exactly.
Like we have a Liberty Bell in freaking center field. That is actually insane that they don't do it every single year. It should be a tradition.
I agree. And the same thing, like Memorial Day and July 4th, have those games in Philly. You know, you can send the Phillies elsewhere any other time of year, but Memorial Day and July 4th, have Phillies home
Send them
games.
to freaking London, sure.
Yes.
But make us play, or send them to London on July 4th. That would be very funny.
Yes.
Like, how's it going, guys?
Stick it to them.
See you again.
Funny.
We're wearing red this time.
That's a good point.
But yeah, no, that is great. It is, and that of course is the day that was the game they got killed, right? Was the 4th of July?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So of course that's Oh, we've wanted it, and well, it's the one they lost.
But, so like, what's your shore routine down there?
Shore routine is always. I like to sleep in a little bit, but love to hit the beach. I'm a Sea Isle guy, and then stay there. I've been staying at the beach later and later. I've realized, it is actually nice later in the day here. It clears out a little bit, but I just like to kind of go with the flow. Even I will go find some lunch somewhere, come back to the beach, and then head out at night or just sit home. And like I always have to watch Jaws at some point on 4th of July weekend.
That's your tradition?
Absolutely have to. It's like I just freaking love that movie. Always watch it every year, and that'll pretty much be it. And then fireworks and hanging with the family.
So same thing with me, and enjoy the beach. I always like reading on the beach, but my kids always want to play football, baseball, so I'm good with that. But I need to ask you, because the PHLY Eagles viewers know I'm a bit of like I love food, I love eating, right? And this, you might not associate this with summer, but my favorite spot down there is Smitty's Clam Bar in Summers Point, and they have the red clam chowder and the white clam chowder, right? New England and Manhattan. I call it the red and the white.
Yeah, of course.
But so instead of choosing between the two, I mix the two.
Oh, yeah, you could do that.
That's legit?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you can do
That is
that.
interesting.
Yeah.
I've never thought of that, and it sounds great.
I'm curious what the viewers think. I'm curious because like there's redeeming qualities to both. I feel like the white is a little too heavy for the summer, but I prefer the white clam chowder, so I mix the two, and you kind of get the best of both worlds.
No, because the white is heavy, but it's the better one.
Exactly.
I really don't like Manhattan clam chowder that much, but if you added the creaminess, I can see it.
Yeah. So I would recommend Smitty's Clam Bar in Summers Point, and
I want to try this real soon
and get the red and white mixed together.
Is that next to the Crab Trap?
Close
to it?
Yeah, close to it. It's right on the water. It's awesome. It's my favorite spot down there.
That's outstanding. I definitely have to try that. That sounds really good. I know Vince is probably watching right now, our boss, and I'd be remiss if he's been begging us to do Flyers emergency shows whenever there's been news, and they've happened to always drop news like right before we go on air. Today would have been an opportunity to do an emergency show about Cam York. Charlie's probably happy that I'm tied up, so he doesn't have to do a show right now. But just for the JH and K Red, I see some of our Flyers usuals in the crowd here, and Cam York's extension is done. 5 years, $5.15 million. They avoid arbitration. He didn't file for it. They were working on the extension, and here we go. Really freaking good deal. I'm not even the biggest Cam York fan. A lot of people know. He's worked on his defensive game. He's actually pretty good. I always just think if you're not physical and you don't score, what are you bringing on defense? He hasn't really had either of those elements of his game yet, but to lock him up through his prime at a reasonable number, not even being the biggest fan of the player, I really like this deal. So there you go. There's our emergency pod, Vince. I'll have this clipped, and we can pretend that we Charlie and I did it.
There you go. Get the views that way. So I admit that most of my Flyers knowledge comes from you and Charlie, right?
Well, most of mine comes from Charlie. So.
From what I read on PHLY.com and watch on your show. But it did seem like of all the players, I guess Couturier might be in there with him, but he was a Tortorella doghouse guy, right? So is there optimism that with the coaching change, you're getting the best version of Cam York on this deal?
Yeah, that's got to be the hope now. Is he had his value suppressed by John Tortorella, so thanks a lot for that. Maybe we have a reasonable contract because of it. And now you get the guy finally who was supposed to be that first-round pick. What was that? I think 2019 draft, 2018, something
Southern
like that.
California guy, right?
Yeah, and he's got some of his friends on the team now. They bring in Jamie Drysdale. Now Trevor Zegras is here. He's surrounded by his buddies, guys he played his amateur career with. I gotta believe now you will get finally. We will know what is Cam York, and they were happy enough to sign him up for 5 years, so they have a better feeling about what his ceiling ultimately is than I do. But all right, I am on board with this contract just because it seems reasonable. There was talk he wanted over 6, maybe 7 million. It's just a guy. You play a lot of minutes, and that is kind of the metric for most defensemen. Like, how much do you play? How much are you being used? But you don't score at all. I really, there's no like counting stat other than minutes that you excel at. How are you going to get $7 million? Well, Danny Briere, a pretty nice piece of negotiating here, 5 years, 5.15 a year. I am quite all right with that. That works. That works for me.
And what jumps out too is often you see the GM who drafted the player has the attachment to the player. The fact that Briere didn't draft him and still wants to keep him around, I think speaks to the way the organization views him long term.
Absolutely. And we've seen Briere move on from a bunch of guys he didn't draft over the last couple of years, even players he liked, like Morgan Frost, Joel Farabee. It was just, you know what? It's time to go in a different direction. And now here they have locked up one of these guys. So that is an interesting point. Like, Briere must see something. Oh, yeah, he's worth keeping, not trading, keeping him around for this amount of time.
It's like when Howie Roseman took back over in 2016, his first order of business was to get rid of everybody Chip Kelly brought in, right? And then to sign everybody that he had drafted, right? So our friend Vinny Curry, he kept, right? He gave Fletcher Cox that big deal. And whether it was Kiko Alonso, Byron Maxwell, DeMarco Murray, Eric Rowe, he got rid of all those guys, right? So sometimes that speaks to it when the GM who didn't take you wants to keep you.
Yeah, that actually, you're one of the good ones. We'll keep you around.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was joking. It was funny. I was just putting in the outline, it's pretty much Flyers offseason is over, and then literally they wrapped up their last piece of business. I was like, we can talk about that. But now, development camp wrapped up this weekend. They had their big scrimmage on Sunday. Draft is over. There's still some free agents, but free agency is basically over within 3 days. My offseason is done. It is basically like the Charlie and Bill killing time hour for the next couple of months. The NFL and NHL, ton of overlap, but I feel like you're just about to have to ramp up again. It's the offseason schedule, OTAs, and finally camp and everything. It just seems to happen a lot earlier, even though the season is less than a month of beginnings apart.
Yeah, so it's a good point. My wife would tell you that I get so it's been
the NBA Finals off. That's it. You're off for the NBA Finals.
But so this is gonna be year 14 on the Eagles. This is gonna be year 16 covering the NFL, and so this time, the calendar turns to July. You have July 4th. And your body starts to get primed, right? I mean, it's like, it's like that witching hour where you start to get hungry, right? Right after July 4th, it's like, all right, enough of this. Training camp, it's within sight. You can see it. So the offseason is structured a little differently in the NFL in that you have those pressure points of free agency, the draft, but then you have and then mini camp, but you have this 6-week lull. But then once you get past July 4th, you're 2-3 weeks out. The Eagles report 2 weeks from Wednesday, or I guess 2 weeks from tomorrow. First practice 2 weeks from Wednesday. So your body really starts to get primed for it.
I feel like I was just at the parade.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
that is
seriously.
absolutely.
Yes.
Like like Flyers, it's been over, but
Yeah.
I feel like I saw the Eagles more recently. At least
Yeah.
maybe I just care to remember it.
It's like you message people in the organization and you get that same thing. It's like the season just ended. Let me breathe for a little. I'll see you in a few weeks.
That's it now with the 18 games and like it goes to Valentine's Day basically.
Yes.
Like there really isn't much of an off season, and it was already like an 11.5-month sport to begin with.
My dream my proposal, if I were Roger Goodell, would be I would go from Labor Day to President's Day. Labor Day to President's Day. It's perfect. I think they will adopt that at some point.
The President's Day thing just makes too much sense.
Yeah.
Everyone wants off that Monday.
Exactly.
This is
Is
our national holiday. Like football is our civic religion.
Yep.
Like, this is it. This is what we. So just give us the freaking holiday.
Exactly.
You know?
It's to me. It's like Super Bowl Sunday night gives people a reason to be off. There's something like patriotic about the Super Bowl every Sunday before President's Day. I've been saying this: Labor Day to President's Day. You know the NFL schedule years in advance. Those are going to be the blocks. I think when they advance to 18 games, that will be what it becomes.
I think that's probably the way they have to go. Yeah, it's funny. Like the NHL, it just kind of seems there's this gentleman's agreement. Like, oh yeah, mid-July we all go to the cabins.
Yes.
We're all at our lake houses, and we'll see you end of August.
Yeah.
We'll see you at the end of August, and very little business gets done between now and then. It's camp's coming up. We still need a defenseman. I guess we should probably call somebody.
Yes.
Like, oh, all right, thanks for waiting around all this time. But I started to see like yesterday, today, like fantasy football notifications.
Okay.
It's like, oh, I'm
And that
working with
gets you
Zach.
excited.
I'm like, it's coming.
It's coming.
Like,
It is
it's actually time to get back to work.
Yes. This becomes like, you move from like Mount Rushmore season to fantasy football season, and then all of a sudden you're in the training camp stats season, and then that gets to preseason, and then boom, week one.
And then it's finally here.
Then it's finally here.
There really is. It's the NFL is just in charge of everything.
Yes.
It really just it runs our entire calendar. Like, we don't have the countdown? Is that just an Anthony thing with the?
Oh, I can put it up for you. Yeah, we're up to
countdown
60
kickoff.
days.
Last time I was on the show, I saw it up. 60 days.
60
until
days.
kickoff.
There you go. Yeah.
60 days
That
until
is-
kickoff.
Like, that's wild. It really does. Like you came in the our World Effing Champs shirt today, which I absolutely
did, yeah.
love. I was like, oh, I was thinking about wearing that today too, and like, oh, it's about to be a new season. Like they are not the world champs in like 60 days, so they're gonna unroll that banner and whole new year begins.
Now, are you guys training camp guys? Like, do you love all those training camp updates, or is it like, come on, I don't care if Kyle McCord hit this guy on an 8-yard out and Jaylen Hurts went 8 for 9 and 7 on 7s?
I enjoy it. Like, I think it's fun. I'm like, yeah, like, you know what? You're there. You might as well report on something. And I like knowing who the depth roster guys. I always loved back when there were the 4 preseason games, that Jets game, that toilet bowl that they played week 4 every year. It was my favorite thing because, like, it's funny just because none of these guys are going to play in the league. But it's also like, this is it.
Yep.
This is their moment. They're going to have to go get another job or hope to play in the UFL now or like there's no NFL Europe. Like, this is it. There's not anywhere else to go. They got to get their real estate license. This is their opportunity to play under the lights. Like, I always liked that. I like knowing who some of those guys are. So I do like the updates. Like, oh yeah, that's that 4th tight end that we're never going to hear from again. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm always curious about it because there's 2 ways to look at it, right? Like you hear some fans being like, "Why do you make a big deal about this practice?" And the other thing is like, "I'm there. What am I supposed to do?" Right? Like, don't worry about it.
This is it. Like, there's always the mute option.
Yes.
You don't always
Yes.
have. You don't have to consume everything. Take the time off. If it doesn't matter to you, just be like, I'm watching baseball today.
There you go.
It's very easy.
Yeah.
Baseball is every day until like October. So just don't worry about it.
But I do think the perspective's important in that a guy has, a guy gets beaten training camp, right? And it's like, all right, the season's not over, right? It's like watching spring training and, the pitcher gives up a home run. Zack Wheeler probably did all, he'll be all right in the season, right?
I bet you it all works out.
Exactly. So
man, he's working on a change. He doesn't throw a change.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what happens.
So like Devontae Smith, if Devontae Smith has a quiet day of practice, don't worry, he'll be all right.
They'll work him in.
Yes,
I bet you they figure out a way.
Yes, exactly.
I bet you they figure out a way to get the ball in his hands. It's like, I don't know, maybe like the dagger or something.
Yes.
All right, and with that, let's throw it to our first commercial break. I got to tell you about Cherry Hill Kia. That's right, because if you're looking for amazing deals and super low lease payments, KiaofCherryHill.com is the place to be. They're celebrating Memorial Day savings all month long. That's right, we're into July. We're still celebrating. That's how wild it is at Cherry Hill Kia. They have a massive selection of over 450 new Kias to choose from, with 40 Tellurides, 100 Sportages, over 35 Carnivals, 75 Celtos, and 80 Souls. I love that Kia Soul. I've got to tell you, Kia is the hottest automotive brand in the country for a reason. 7 of their models received 2025 Car and Drivers Edition Choice Awards. That's kind of ridiculous, just considering there are more than 450 models tested and only 20 industry-wide received this award. 7 out of 20. Not a math guy, but that seems like a pretty decent amount. Combine that with the best warranty in the automotive business, 10 years, 100,000-mile powertrain, and 5 years, 60,000-mile bumper-to-bumper. And stop in today, tell them PHLY sent you, and receive a $100 restaurant.com gift card just for taking a test drive or completing a trade appraisal. I know why people buy Kias elsewhere. I just don't know why. Drive home in your new Kia today. Just minutes from all bridges are available online 24/7 at KiaofCherryHill.com. All right, now we have to throw it to Pico.
Anthony Gargano, PHLY, VG. My brother, you look hot.
Dude.
I mean, I feel kind of hot too, to be honest with you.
Dude, my house is like a sauna meets a steam room. It's insane. This heat's unbearable.
Well, look, this Philly heat is no joke. It's summertime, man.
Dude, if I could tell you, I stood with my head in the freezer for 10 minutes before I left the house today. Disaster.
Brother, just turn on the AC. How come you just don't turn on your air conditioner?
Trying to save some cash, man. Save the world. Save the climate. Go green. All that stuff.
Listen, I feel you. Do yourself a favor. I got your answer.
All right.
Like, do it solid. Check out Pico's energy saving rebates. All right. They've got deals on Energy Star cooling equipment that actually work and cut your bills.
So you're telling me no more freezer head?
No, not unless you want to look like a freezer head.
No. I'm good. This is great news.
I'm serious. You're good, man. Trust me. Just head to pico.com/ways to save. They got tips for everything. Heating, cooling, lighting, you name it. It's Pico. We love Pico.
I'm in.
All right. Welcome back to the show. I love these Pico ads. They're awesome. It's fun to do a little play acting sometimes. All right, I want to talk about the Phils now. You mentioned Zack Wheeler a couple minutes ago, Zach, and damn,
yes, dude, that was impressive.
He seems to be getting better as the season is going on. Just these last 2 starts, he's been dominant. And yesterday, best start of the season, maybe the best start of his Phillies career. Complete game, 1 hitter, gives up a solo home run to Austin freaking Hayes of all people. But 12 punch outs, no walks. Like he has been dominant this year, and it seems to be getting stronger as we head towards the All-Star break.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday obviously was beyond impressive. But then you look at it. This is from Jim Salisbury on allphly.com. Since the start of June, he's made 6 starts. Zack Wheeler. The Phillies have won 5 of those games. Wheeler's pitched 40 innings over that span and allowed just 3 earned runs. 3 earned runs in 40 innings, striking out 54, walking 7. So it is like we are seeing a historical season for the Phillies, and it's really the strength of the team, and it's exactly what you want in an ace. That when he's pitching, you're like, all right, they're gonna win today.
That's it. Man. He gave up 1 hit. If you can't muster 2 runs for Zack Wheeler, what are we doing here? And
we're doing a show in Pittsburgh. That's what we're doing. Yeah,
that's what it looks like at some points.
Yeah.
But he has just been so freaking good, and like I just can't remember like, I guess there's been MVP chants and stuff for guys and like stupid stuff like the Wolf Pack was a ton of fun. I can only remember a handful of times where there were like audible chants for an individual, like let's go Wheeler when he comes out for the 9th yesterday. And people just wanted to see him finish off that game so bad because it's something we never see anymore.
No, you're right.
Like it just doesn't happen. I think Ranger Suarez had the last one and like, that's it. It was a couple years ago. It's kind of wild that this has just kind of ended this type of pitcher where, oh, yeah, you put him down for 7, 8, 9 every night. Like we saw the end of it with Halladay and Cliff Lee.
Exactly.
Like and they were the examples. Like, okay, these are the dudes that give you 8 every time. And you just don't get it anymore. And you have that, I keep wanting to call it a shutout, but he gave up the one freaking home run. But you get that complete game yesterday and it's, like, all right, this is actually, we're seeing something today now. It's not just, like, oh, it was a nice pitching performance. 9 is huge now.
I agree. I understand it if the pitcher's up, with a high pitch count, right? And if you're just doing it for ceremonial purposes, I disagree with that. But there are times when the pitcher's going strong, and you're like, why are you doing this, right? And like clearly he's pitching fine. The arm looks good. He's healthy from all we know. And don't leave it to chance with the bullpen. Number one, save your pen. But number two, your best chance of winning this game is to let this guy ride it out.
That's with the bullpen in the place it is, like you need to protect them. A lot of times it's, well, we have these pieces and the pitcher. No, this starter specifically, we need him to be the guy protecting this team from its bullpen. And like we've seen it, in several postseasons where Wheeler's kind of moving along. It's okay, his pitch count's getting up there. Let's try a third time through the order. Let's try to, no, all right, well, balls in the seats and we lose the World Series.
Yes.
Yeah, it just, I love seeing the confidence to put that guy out there because he is your best pitcher. And I don't think it's a question. Do you think he's he's the city's favorite Philly now? I think he may be.
You think so?
I think he may be jumping ahead of Bryce Harper. Just we're watching Zack Wheeler get stronger now, and he's out there every game. Harper, he's a little bit of a down year. He's had some injuries, and I still love Bryce Harper. I wear a freaking Bryce Harper jersey. All for Bryce Harper, But I feel like those top 11 lists that WIP was doing a couple weeks ago, like Zack Wheeler came out ahead of Bryce Harper, I'm fairly certain. I know I worked on Ava's with her, and guess what? Wheeler was ahead of Harper on mine just because of the recent success. He's their best player, and I don't think it's particularly close at this point.
So when you're thinking most popular player, how much does personality factor into it? Is it just performance? Like Bryce Harper, in addition to being, and we'll get into the year he's having, but in addition to being like a bona fide superstar, he also has that like the personality that people gravitate toward. Some call it pandering, but he knows what to say. Like Zack Wheeler is obviously much more reserved. I would think, I could be wrong here, if Zack Wheeler were like sitting at like an outdoor restaurant, I don't know how many Phillies fans would know like that's Zack Wheeler. Whereas Bryce Harper,
that's a fair point. Yeah, like Harper carries himself. He has the charisma of a superstar. You just get that vibe. Plus, dude has a fanatic tattoo.
Yes, exactly.
He's a fan of us the way we're a fan of him. And
exactly.
Pandering is good. All for it. Thank you. I'm very simple. Pander to me.
Yes. Make me feel flattered.
I see it, and I'm like, yes, thank you. Love it. But it's the popularity. Like he so much goodwill choosing the Phillies, and then everything he did when he got here, and everything since. Like I can't call it pandering anymore because you don't have to. You won your MVP. You're beloved. You had the Bedlam at the Bank home run. Like you're not going anywhere. We love you. Like you don't have to do this anymore, and he still does. I just think he likes being part of the. He just likes being part of the community. You know, he's from Vegas. He never had a sports community before.
Yeah, the milk's better from Lehigh Valley, right? Is that what he says?
The raw milk.
Yeah, the raw milk. Yes. I don't know if you get raw milk out in Vegas.
But there's so much of like that I guess. There's probably still way more Harper jerseys in the stands than there are Wheeler jerseys. That would be my guess. But I bet it's a lot closer than it was a year or two ago.
And this is what we're seeing is elite, like the type of season we'll be talking about if we did this show in a decade or 2 decades from now, the way Zack Wheeler pitched in 2025. And when you look at it, even these past few years, it's hard to find a better free agent signing than Zack Wheeler, just because when you signed him from the Mets, he wasn't considered this. And it's almost like what Malcolm Jenkins was with the Eagles. Like his best, the best years of his career came when he was in Philly. And it's at the point now where it's not just he's your best pitcher. He's like, he might be the best pitcher in baseball. Him or Paul Skeens are up there, certainly in the NL. It is amazing to watch.
That's just since he got here. He's what is this? This is his 5th season here, and two second place finishes in the Cy Young, a 6th, and then there's a 12th his first year here. Like, he has had the best. That's so rare for a free agent signing, because typically, especially in baseball, you're an indentured servant until you're like 32 years old. You get a guy, and you gave him a major contract, and the first half of it will hopefully be great,
Exactly.
and then you kind of deal with the back half, and you're paying him for what he did. Zack Wheeler getting paid for what he is currently doing, and that is, I feel like, so rare with free agents. Like, that doesn't happen.
You're absolutely right, and it's also, you projected this well, right? Because look, you
guessed right.
Yeah, the Giants draft him, they trade him to the Mets in the Beltran deal, and he was injured, he was hot and cold. You signed him hoping that this would turn out, but even like your best case scenarios in the front office projections, I can't imagine considered what Zack Wheeler has become, because it was always like Wheeler and Nola, right?
Yes.
You know, Nola's your ace. He's the homegrown guy. Wheeler's like your 1A. I know Nola's taking a back seat, but it's not even close.
No.
Like Zack Wheeler is the true stud. I saw in the chat people wondering if he's going to start in the All-Star game, but if you did it just based on merit, you would have that conversation. Like, he is that good.
Absolutely, and I think that is like, you saw that transformation of, okay, it's Wheeler and Nola, and you see Wheeler, and you're like, oh, he might be a little better, but it makes sense. Like, Nola's still your opening day guy because he's your guy, and then at a certain point, it's like, this is this is a silly conversation to be having. Zack Wheeler is our staff ace, and he's one of the top pitchers, if not the top pitcher in baseball. I am hoping he gets that's Cy Young, so deserved this year. Like, I thought he was robbed in 2021, quite honestly. It seemed kind of fair last year to be the runner-up, but I'm hoping he finally gets one, because you look at a guy's resume and it's, you never had that one year where you were considered the best, and he has been right there for so many years that I would love to see him actually bring it home this time.
Now he's also been money in the playoffs, right? Yeah. But obviously he hasn't been on that championship team. So is that a factor here?
Yeah, I want, like, if they win in 2022 or they go on to win this year, like, when we start doing those rankings, when baseball ends and Tyler has to be killing time in the off season, like, are we going to be talking about Zack Wheeler the way we talk about, if you're making a list of the top Philly athletes, obviously Saquon and like all the champions have to be on there. And then, like Wheeler and Harper, because they're just superstars. Like, is it then, oh no, they're in the top 5 because they have to be. Now they're also champions. Yeah, that probably holds it back a little, just from, like, if they win in 22 and and Wheeler does what he did, like, he's the ace of the team, he's thought of, I think, similar or above Bryce Harper without a doubt. And I think it's already happening anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at this now. 22, he had a 2.78 ERA in the postseason. 23, a 1.95 ERA in the postseason. Last year only started one game, but he went 7 innings, 1 hit, 9 Ks, right? So in addition to these Cy Young caliber regular seasons, he's been money when it matters most too.
He hasn't let you down. Like, that was the big thing in the group chat. Best Phillies pitcher since when? It's like, well, Doc was just a different thing, but it was only 2 dominant seasons. Yeah. And they were like the two best seasons I've ever seen.
Exactly.
I never saw Steve Carlton, but I got to believe it wasn't that much better than this. But and that's really it. You have Cole Hamels for the longevity, but he had like does 09 kind of offset 08? Like, all right, he won us one and also lost us one. So is there
I don't
zero?
Think it offsets.
Are there zero? Like,
penance fly forever. Right?
Yeah, that's true. Like, You get both. Like you have those ups and downs with Hamels, but this like run of dominance where it's just Wheeler is the man and has been now for 5-6 seasons. I don't know if he's the best Phillies pitcher I've ever seen, but it is a conversation. It's
a conversation.
It's so hard just because it's only 2 years with Doc. Like I kind of remember Kurt Schilling because my dad would only take. No, we're not going to the freaking vet to watch this terrible team
unless
Schilling's pitching.
Exactly.
All right, we'll go get some walk-ups. Like so, I remember that, and that's really what else. I don't know if anything really else comes close other than Hamels.
No, and so with Hamels, obviously, the World Series performance is just a part of the legacy, and that goes into the winning conversation. Roy Halladay, to me, that 2010 2011 stretch. And perhaps that's just like the age that I was at the time, right? I mean, I wasn't living in Philly at the time, so it's like you're watching the Phillies from afar, and it's like this guy's the best pitcher in baseball. But you also look at like the numbers. I know it's a different era, if I can call it that, but the complete games that he had. 7.3 strikeouts per walk, 6.29 strikeouts per walks during those 2 seasons, 9 complete games during a season. Like you just don't see that. He was, to me, the best pitcher in baseball during that stretch. There's a reason why his jersey's retired. So clearly, I think Wheeler's the best pitcher since then.
Yeah,
I would still give Halladay the edge, but that's not taking anything away from Wheeler.
No, and that's maybe this being a different era. Like, it was a lot of fun watching Doc throw all those pitches, through all those complete games. But this is already the age where he was done.
Yep.
Like, this is Wheeler's age 35 season. That was 2012 for Roy Halladay, where the wheels started to fall off, and then 13, it was just over. Like, maybe it's a little better that we're a little more conservative with these guys because I get to watch Zack Wheeler pitch until probably 38, 39 years old. Yeah. That's going to be a lot of fun. Like, I just wish we got more of Doc. And, like, I just wish they could have taken advantage of how great those teams were so they could have gotten them a World Series. Like, his first freaking postseason game ever, he throws a no-hitter. Like, I guess that is, like, oh, yeah, he just threw a perfect game and a no-hitter in the same season. You just kind of... Oh, yeah, that did happen, and it is wild. No, that's not a thing that will happen again. We are never going to see a guy do that again.
I don't mean to cause nightmares on a Monday morning in July, but which series haunts you more, the Giants series or the Cardinals series?
The Cardinals, I guess I can just go, that is baseball. Yeah. But it's a shame because of then the way it goes. Like, the championship window slammed shut on Ryan Howard's Achilles. Yeah. Like, then it's just totally over.
Yes.
So there was never any, oh, well, we have the hope of, no, this is it. And like 2010, because your best players let you down.
Yeah.
Like, Roy Halladay went out in 2011, like, he gives up 1 run. I don't know. Score more than 1.
Yes.
It doesn't seem that difficult. When it's the Giants, who the hell was?
They had Madison Bumgarner. They had
who was the
Lincecum.
bum that took him?
Is it
took him
Lincecum?
deep a couple of times. That took Doc deep. I'll never remember his name. So I guess like just because I remember,
In the chat, help us out here. Who was? I remember those teams well.
It's right there. But yeah, I think because you got beat by. They absolutely should have won that. Like, I just think it was bad luck in 2011 more than anything. Like, yeah, man, if Chase's knee just isn't hurting him a little, his fly ball in the 8th is probably a home run. And we're talking about a whole different thing. 2010, I feel like their best players just let them down.
Yeah, that 2011
and you're
team
right
was
there.
So
like, you're on the doorstep of the World Series again.
Yeah, they're saying Cody Ross.
Cody Ross, yes, thank you. That was never going to come to me.
Yeah,
it's just what it was gone from my head.
I think the 2010 team, you were right there, right? You're right. I mean, San Francisco, you need to beat them there, but 2011, you're the best team in baseball. You have that Game 5 at home, right? And I understand Carpenter's just lights out, but that was the best team. I mean that team was better than 08. The staff was so good. The lineup was strong. I still look at 2011.
I look at 2011 and like make the big addition at the deadline with Hunter Pence, and I still have a Philadelphia magazine after they traded for him.
John Gonzalez
the
wrote
next
that.
great Philly.
Yep.
And like I love stuff like that. Like I thought so too. Like this, it just seemed like it. Sure. And he goes on to like be exactly that guy for the Giants, and just it didn't happen here. We got him at the wrong time, but 2011. I guess it hurts more because that ended it.
Yep.
There was like in 2010, you were like, well, we have the same freaking team coming back, and okay, we can. Oh, actually, we're not just the same team coming back. We added Cliff Lee.
Yep.
Oh, okay, that'll probably go pretty well. Like, and then in 2011, it's can we do this again? We just won 102 games and couldn't get out of the divisional round. Like, and now Ryan Howard is hurt. Chase Utley's dealing with a degenerative knee issue. This team is not getting any younger. I think that's when you realize, like, oh, they're old. Yeah. Like, oh, yeah, they all came up at 25, 26. This was not a young team to begin with. No. So they're getting old. So, yeah, I guess it is. That's the end. So that's the answer. It's 2011. Still hurts more.
And is that I see it in the chat here, not as bad as the D-Bags 2023. Is that how we're talking about that Diamondback series, right? Because the way you just framed it, like, you knew they had that team next year. That's kind of the period the Phillies are in now, where the window's not closed, but it's closing. And, you see JT's not quite the player that he was. I'm confident in Bryce Harper, but he's not having the season that he's
not
had.
having the year.
And like this is not a young team. And I know there's some exciting prospects coming up, but that crew of like Bryson Stott, Alec Bohm, Brandon Marsh, they haven't become the stars.
The bridge to the next generation.
Exactly. They've been like, good lineup players. Yeah. Probably Stott's the most promising of them. But I look at it and I say, when these guys wane, who's that next group? Because as amazing as 2010, 2011 were, and then even, 2008, 2009, that dark period, like the Clentac era, that was tough. I was in prepping for the show when I was thinking of like, all right, the best pitcher since. And then I look in those years in between, like Jeremy Hellickson's your top pitcher. And I'm like, that dark period's tough. So that's why, like, the Phillies might have the best staff in baseball right now. Wheeler's having this historic season. The Phillies need to capitalize.
All right, we're going to come back with a little bit more Phils, but first, Zach's got to tell you about Bet Parks.
I want to tell everyone about Bet Parks because Bet Parks is the place where I always turn. I enjoy the Bet Parks Sportsbook Pro Football. It's the one and only sportsbook app that I recommend. Bet Parks and the Bet Parks Sportsbook app and online casino has a great offer for new customers to kick off the upcoming pro football season. An amazing 50-1 odds boost on your pick to win this year's Pro Football Championship. All new users who sign up make a deposit and receive a 50-1 Super Bowl odds boost. BetParks.com has all terms and conditions. Get the odds boosted to 50-1. Yes, 50-1 odds. There are 6 favorites to win the championship this season: Kansas City, San Fran, Baltimore, Detroit, Cincinnati, and of course, Philadelphia. Download the BetParks Sportsbook app and online casino app right now and get your 50-1 Super Bowl odds boost on your pick for this year's Pro Football Champion. This is a limited time offer for new customers only. BetParks.com has terms and conditions. You must be 21 and in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, or Maryland. You play for fun. You play to win. You bet. BetParks. Gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now I got to tell you about Rothman Orthopedics. Let's talk about getting back to what you love, especially this summer. Whether you're playing with the kids at the ocean, chasing around the nieces and nephews, biking by the Schuylkill, finally tackling that hiking trail, it's tough when your body doesn't cooperate, and that's where Rothman Orthopedics comes in. From aches after a pickup game to old injuries flaring up on summer adventures, Rothman's team of experts is here to help. They're here to help with evidence-based care and a commitment to restoring your mobility. They'll get you back out there stronger than ever. Don't let pain put your summer on pause. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to book your appointment today and get back to doing what you love pain-free. Rothman Orthopedics, getting you back to your summer game is their mission. Yeah, I want to. This year that so we see the All-Star, the All-Star rosters are announced. Zack Wheeler, obviously, we're getting Kyle Schwarber in there. Makes sense. One of the best sluggers in the game. But that is it for a team that is 5th overall in Major League Baseball. They're game and a half up on the Mets in the NL East. 2 doesn't seem like a ton.
No, you're right.
Just feel like we've had a lot more. But you look at this team and it's, well, you know what? There's a lot of pitchers. This team is basically just winning on pitching, and hopefully Kyle Schwarber hits a home run. That's basically what this, and it's worked for the most part this season. But Harper has been out. If he's healthy, just on popular vote, he probably gets in, even if he's having a down year. But it's not as if this is a star-studded team. It is kind of odd to see, but there were some snubs. What do you think about Ranger Suarez as a snub? Like, I just think it's kind of unfortunate that he started the year hurt.
Exactly.
Like, that's really, I don't see it so much of a snub as just bad timing.
I agree with you there. That to me is not the biggest snub here. I know you look at the numbers and you might disagree, but missing that first month is why that makes sense. And also with pitchers, there's always replacements because some guys are going to pitch Sunday, some guys kind of back out. You know, Chris Sale's injured as it is. But yeah, I don't view Suarez as the big snub here, or Sanchez.
No, and Sanchez, he makes it last year. He's having a good year. I wouldn't say he's been quite as good, but and the Phillies just have so many pitchers. It's kind of like, okay, well, we're going to take their whole staff. Like at a certain point, like not every Eagles offensive lineman gets to go to the Pro Bowl,
although they typically
even though they all should.
Exactly,
like, you know, like they very well should. But it is, I think, the biggest snub, obviously, Trey Turner.
100% agree with you.
Kind of, it feels almost quietly having the season we've been waiting for him to have.
Yes.
And now here he is and doesn't make it to the All-Star. It could just be, all right, the power isn't what some people hope for out of Trey Turner. But you look at the year he's having, and it feels like a snub, no?
I agree with you. And I think he should be in over both Tatis and Ellie De La Cruz. I think Trey Turner is simply having the better season. The numbers back it up. The team success backs it up. Even the defensive metrics, you know, he's not known for his defense, but the defensive metrics are superior to both Tatis and De La Cruz. Trey Turner, it wasn't the best start to his Phillies career, obviously, and then the postseasons haven't helped. The season he's having now is a $300 million caliber season. Like, this is exactly what you hoped for when you signed him. I think Trey Turner is one of the best players in the National League this year, should absolutely be in the All-Star game.
Yeah, leads the National League with 109 hits.
Yep.
It's hitting 300. His OPS is over 800. It's what we've been waiting for from Turner. I would love to see a little bit more extra base power, but that said, 18 doubles, couple of triples, and the 11 home runs. So it's not as if he's just slapping the ball. He is driving it a little bit. And for a team with zero offense, they do have a table setter. There is a reason we're so frustrated with them and how bad they are with runners in scoring position. It's because guys are getting on.
Yes, you're
like, he is doing his job. 351 on base,
and he's running well too.
Yeah, and he's running. He's stealing bags. Yep. He's already got more steals than he did last season, which is pretty nuts.
Yep.
But it's just no one seems to be able to drive him home. And I think if the Phillies just had a more explosive offense overall, he'd be getting more credit for the season he's having.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the power numbers are probably why this is looked at in terms of Tatis there. But I'm sorry, not Tatis. I keep saying Tatis, Lindor. And so that to me is he's been, outside of Schwarber, their best offensive player. But the fact that he's getting on base, he's getting hits, he deserves to be in the All-Star game.
I think so too. Just want to talk a little about this year that Harper's having. So since he's come back, he's 3 for 17, no extra base hits. I wrote down 3 strikeouts, but I'm pretty sure it's 9 with 3 walks.
Yep.
In 5 games. Now, it's 5 games. It's a long freaking season, even when you miss a bunch of time. But he's got a 426 slugging this season. You're remaining optimistic that he's still Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
I am just worried. I really, because it just seems there's never anything recurring. Like, he gets hit by pitches. But it just seems that the stuff is piling up, that he spends a lot of time rehabbing, getting comfortable. Okay, I got to get back to feeling myself before I come back. Like, and it's just taking you a little longer to feel like yourself.
Yeah.
And that is worrisome just because they don't have other stars.
No.
Kyle Schwarber's contract is expiring. Trey Turner, all right, looks like he's back to living up to what we expected, but like, Stott hasn't been what we expected him to be. Alec Boehm has his ups and downs, but that's it. This is a team of free agents.
You're right.
And like we were saying earlier with Wheeler, it's odd to get this where the best part of your career is after you sign the big contract. And they're going to have to go out and spend to try to maintain this level again. And it doesn't work if Bryce Harper isn't Bryce Harper, no matter what else you put into it.
You're right. He needs to be the guy. And he's been that since they signed him. I remain optimistic because, I've been watching Bryce Harper play since he was 19 years old. And he just, you pick your head up at the end of the season and the numbers are there. Now, this year is an anomaly. I think the injury has a lot to do with it. When you're dealing with, a hand and wrist injury, it certainly affects you there. And I'm not saying I'm totally optimistic this season that he gets back to being the player that he is, but I don't think this is like Ryan Howard at the end of his contract. I think as long as Bryce Harper is like moderately healthy, he's going to be one of the best hitters in baseball.
Also, like, this outfield needs so much help.
Yeah.
And there's talk of, he'd move back to right if you were able to get a first baseman. And I understand that team mentality. I can't put him back out there, though.
No.
Like, that's not something I'm looking to do.
And why not?
I can't have him risk any more injury.
Okay.
There's just
He's too valuable.
There's just
his
more
bat's
going
too
on
valuable.
out there. Like, I need his bat in the lineup no matter what. Like, the most valuable he's ever been to this team when he was DHing in the playoffs. That's the best he's ever looked. And
that's a great point.
When you see the injuries start to pile up, like, as much as I want to keep Schwarber around, we need that DH spot probably. Like, I need to protect this investment at all costs because I need him he's one of the most clutch hitters I have ever seen. I've never seen a guy have a postseason like even the last few years when they haven't made it to the World Series. Hasn't been because he hasn't come through. I need his bat in the lineup. And that's the word. Like, so how do you make the other pieces fit? Oh, well, we can play him at first. We can protect him a little there. I'm very much against moving him back to the outfield. And that just limits your options of what this team can ultimately add.
Yeah, because I understand the point about moving him to the outfield if you can get the first baseman that you want, because you need to improve this lineup somehow.
Someone has to hit.
Yeah, and so you're looking where can they add somebody, and they have that type of flexibility, that type of versatility. That if you need him to play right field, but then what do you do with Castellanos, right? And so you're in a spot here where if Schwarber's entrenched as your DH, and Castellanos doesn't really have, unless you move Castellanos, which I suppose is always an option there. But
I got to imagine he can play left, but it just feels like they've taken so much time to limit the damage he can do in right. Like, okay, this works.
Exactly.
Now we're putting you back over there.
Exactly. So I do think the best case scenario for the Phillies is keeping Bryce Harper at first base for the reasons that you said. You can protect him there. He plays a solid first base. You can keep Schwarber as your DH, and then find that center fielder on the trade market. Or maybe it's Justin Crawford, but I still think find that center fielder on the trade market to provide that oomph to the lineup. But if the first baseman is the only option you're finding in the trade market, then you do have that flexibility. But I would prefer to keep Harper at first.
I think if they were to find a first baseman, and this might sound ridiculous, if they were to find a first baseman, I'd be more comfortable putting Schwarber in left than I would Harper in right.
Really?
Just because I don't I don't think he's going to get hurt out there. That's and I've seen Pat Burrell with 2 non-working feet and Manny Ramirez win World Series and left. It ain't that hard.
Yes,
like
that's true.
We can survive if they're able to upgrade this lineup, and that protects Harper a little bit as well. But it's very fun just looking at this team. You're talking about deadline additions. Again, 5th overall in Major League Baseball, 3rd in the National League. Like 2.5 games behind the Dodgers. They're right there.
Yes.
They're leading the National League East. They're 53-37. I don't know if management believes them to be World Series contenders to the point that they're like, let's give up some prospects and go all in this year. They've resisted going all in, and I get it. They want to remain competitive throughout Harper's entire contract. All right. But at a certain point, you do have to just go for it. You do have to say, we need to get one. How can we do it? They don't seem interested in it, and that leads me to believe they don't think the team that they have right now, like an upgrade, fixes, oh, yes, well, now we're better than the Dodgers.
Yeah, so I have a lot of thoughts on deadline acquisitions because you see it work both ways, right? We spoke about Hunter Pence. The Phillies get Hunter Pence. They gave up Tommy Joseph. Worked out great, right? The flip side is you watch the Cubs right now, you see Pete Crow Armstrong. Mets gave him up for a half season of Javier Baez. And clearly they would rather have Pete Crow Armstrong right now. So it works both ways. I'm not against giving up prospects. I do worry about 2 things: giving up prospects for rentals, number 1, and giving up prospects for relievers. Because to me, and it really seems just from reading Jim on allphly.com and consuming all the coverage that where the Phillies want to add is to the bullpen, and you understand it. But bullpen arms have so much more volatility, right? I would be more apt to go trade for a center fielder, go trade for Duran from the Red Sox, go trade for find that piece in center field who can start for you for the next few seasons, as opposed to giving up a top prospect, whether it's Crawford, whether it's Aiden Miller, whether it's Mick Abel. I mean, they're not going to give up Andrew Painter, but for a bullpen arm, that just worries me because if you look at the top bullpen arms last year, they're not the same as this year.
No,
right? There's too much volatility.
Volatility is the word. Like just looking at some of the trade candidates this morning, it's like, do I want Sir Anthony Dominguez? Oh, I know that name.
Exactly.
And it was, why'd we get rid of him? Well, because he wasn't good last year, and now he is again, and that's just so I would agree with the idea of rentals. That's tough. It's tough to go, especially that is the definition of all in.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, now it has to be this year, or we just made a huge mistake, and then the relievers because this bullpen, and there was a piece about it today, the bullpen is going to get stronger just because some of our starters are going to get moved to the pen. Like Aaron Nola is going to come back.
Yeah.
Mick Abel, there were some ups and downs, but he looked okay. You're only going to need 3 starters probably in the division round.
Yep.
This team is blessed with starting pitching. Even though Taijuan Walker is rejoining our rotation at some point, that's only temporary.
Yeah.
Like they do have the starting pitching depth to go, well, if we take away from one of our strengths and add it to one of our weaknesses, we're still fine at the original position. So I guess reliever, that's not something I'm looking to go all in on because they can fix that internally, but they just have to do something about this lineup.
So you and I are on the same wavelength as far as the relievers because you hit it on the head. Postseason baseball is fundamentally different than regular season baseball. Last year, the Dodgers win with essentially 2 starters, right? You think back to when the Phillies played the Rays. David Price was like a money bullpen arm. He's comparable to what Andrew Painter is now. Yeah. And so I heard so much debate a few weeks ago, like, do you bring Painter in as a starter? Do you bring Painter in as a bullpen arm? And to me, the two are not mutually exclusive. Like, Painter comes in to start for you during the season, but then when you go to the when you go to the postseason, he's giving you 3 innings. And, whether it's Noah, whether it's Sanchez, it's probably not Sanchez, but you're getting that depth from your rotation in the bullpen, and so I'm not as worried about that in the postseason. Maybe you want that lights out ninth inning guy because you're not gonna pitch Painter on back to back games in the postseason. But otherwise, I'm not looking for like 7th or 8th inning help. I would much rather make a big swing for a center fielder, a guy in his 20s who you think can start the next 2-3 seasons for you, than I would going for that big bullpen arm.
I know, like I have this issue though with the idea of these untouchables, and I read the piece from PHLY Pat on the untouchables at the deadline, and I guess I'm just so scarred from years past of we got to hold on to all these process and the ones that Ruben Amaro Jr. traded away. Which ones turned out? Like Jordan Zimmerman, like is that the worst case scenario here? I'm willing to deal with it for like another World Series berth. I think I can live with it. It's just like this farm system has had so little success since Ed Wade and Mike Arbuckle that I am willing to kind of, I guess I don't want to see Andrew Painter go anywhere. I kind of want to know. I want to find out. It seems as if he's going to be awesome. So I'm fine making him untouchable. But everyone else for the right price, obviously, like, yes, the right price, that player probably isn't available. I just hate the idea of untouchables because why? Who are these guys going to be probably? And can we live without that? I think so. Oh, man. Yeah, Bryson Stott, all these guys, they're okay. They're nice players. They're fine. That's it. I am trying to get a little bit more than fine, but it doesn't feel like Dave Dombrowski is basically telling us, that really good right-handed hitting outfielder who doesn't hurt us on defense, he doesn't exist. So we're probably not getting him. And
Dombrowski is an example of someone who's parted with prospects in the past for players who make a difference in postseason runs. Look at Chris Sale when he was with the Red Sox, right? And that's certainly not a trade that backfired on the Red Sox. When you talk about untouchables, to me, like, proximity matters. And so Andrew Painter, to me, is he's the type of person who I would consider like a deadline acquisition.
He isn't like an addition almost himself.
Exactly. When you're talking about someone down in Class A, and I understand it's a little more nuanced when you talk about Eduardo Tate, right? Because the catcher pipeline is barren for the Phillies. You don't know what Real Muto's future is. But I'm more apt to trade for a player down your farm system, even like someone like Justin Crawford, who the proximity's there, but what's his ceiling going to be? If you tell me you can get a guy like Duran, if you like Cedric Mullins, there's options there in the outfield. What I don't like, I said I don't like the rental. I don't like the bullpen arm. And then the other thing that I get worried about is like the half measure solution, right? What Austin Hayes was last year, right?
Oh, well, he's good enough.
Exactly.
Like, no, he isn't.
Yeah.
Then.
If you're gonna make a swing, like, swing for the fence here. Get a guy who moves the needle. Get what Cliff Lee was at the deadline. Get what Hunter Pence was at the deadline. I'm more apt to go in that direction.
This is the PHLY Anthony Gargano Show, brought to you by our friends at Bet Parks. We are all huge Bet Parks fans here. They are a sponsor of so many of our things. They've been with Anthony forever. Parks Casino, check them out. Bet Parks app is awesome as well. I'm a big fan of that app. Play little casino games when you're just hanging out. Worst ways to kill some time. Worst ways to kill some time. I guess my big question about the Phils is, what are the Phillies? Like, they win a lot of games. They've been winning a ton of games the last few seasons, and I still look at them and go, this is an incomplete team. Mm-hmm. Do I believe in them as a World Series contender? Because I don't know if management does, or if maybe Dombrowski just looks at it like, this is enough. You guys need to do it yourselves. Like, the third highest payroll in baseball should be able to get it done. To which I respond, yes, it should, but you have created 0 homegrown stars, so it isn't. You have to pay a premium on the free agent market. That's why every players association fights for free agency. You get overpaid. But this is like the situation they're in where, this should be enough, but I don't think it is. Like, how much should Dave Dombrowski be willing to go in? Like, does this feel like an all-in year to you?
To me, it does, for a few reasons, right? You have the staff, and pitching by nature is volatile. You see it with the top arms. What are their shelf lives? The Phillies have a staff here that can win in October. So you start there. You also you mentioned the age curve of some of these free agent signings, right? Whether it's Bryce Harper, you don't know if Kyle Schwarber's going to be on the team next year. You're still, Trey Turner is having an all-star caliber season like we discussed. There's a core in place, and I understand the bats have been quiet during the postseasons the past 2 years. Postseasons are such a small sample size that I think you need to maximize this window. And unless you're giving up Andrew Painter, there's no one there who I say like that's really going to haunt you one day for a chance to try to make the push. The other thing too is, look, the Dodgers can be special, especially if they get their arms back. But I don't look at the National League as like so imposing that. All right, the Mets are a good team, right? I mean, we'll see what happens with some of those teams in the Central, but I definitely think that the Phillies can hang with the Dodgers. We've seen them do it, and if you have Zack Wheeler, and look, I talked about the expiring contracts, Ranger Suarez, right? You're having this great season from Sanchez. You're going to have Painter in the mix in the postseason. This is a year when you need to capitalize.
So this is the big deal presented by Cherry Hill Kia. Go to cherryhillkia.com, kiaofcherryhill.com. Excuse me. This is the big deal. I do think there needs to be a big deal because you only have so much longer, like you said. The Ranger Suarez, like you look at Kyle Schwarber, but yeah, Suarez too. Like these are the key contributors to this team. This is what makes this thing go, and they might not be here a year from now. You kind of have to take advantage. And outside of Painter, I don't know if I see anyone with the ceiling that must hold on to, and we'll be here soon enough that I actually care. Like you can replace a guy who's 3 years away. I'm not worried about the 2027 Philadelphia Phillies. I'm just not.
Yeah.
Who the hell knows if there's going to be a 2027? Like, I would rather.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I would rather a parade now and like worry about it later.
Yeah.
But and that's where I am with this team. Is I guess when you have this elite unit, you have to do whatever to supplement because you just have to be good enough somewhere else.
Sure.
When you have this starting pitching, you can beat anybody. Now, they don't have the bullpen that Astros team did a few years ago, but that team, you looked at them and just went, yes, that is an historic pitching staff.
Yep.
It makes sense that the Phillies got no hit in the World Series game because that staff was freaking great. The Phillies have that sort of at least starting depth this year, and with the pieces that they can put into the bullpen, it could be something very special. You just need to supplement this offense a little bit and cross your fingers because ultimately that's what it comes down to in the postseason. You hit or you don't.
Yeah, you're right. And look, this is why Dombrowski's here, right? Dombrowski's not here to build a team that wins in 2030. Dombrowski's here to build a team that wins in 2025. The way this team's constructed is a win now team, and your approach, like in terms of you're not thinking about 2027. If this was a team that was built around like Bobby Witt Jr., right, where you're like, all right, your star player is going to be here for the next 8-10 years, you can operate differently. If this is the Phillies of the mid 2000s, where you're like you have this core coming up, you have Rollins, you have Utley, you have Howard, then you can operate a little differently. When you look at the age and the contract status, this is their window this year. Now, if you tell me they're going to re-sign Ranger, if you tell me that Schwarber's going to be back, but it looks totally different if those guys are gone. It looks totally different if Bryce Harper's on the decline, and it seems it's the reality of talking about baseball that we can discuss this for 6 months, and then you get to October, and it's like, how are the bats in October? But the arms are going to be there, and the bats just need to follow through.
That's it. Really, I don't know if there's anyone that they can add that improves this offense a great deal, but it does seem like there could be opportunities. Man, we need an outfielder who can hit a left-handed pitcher. Just have that option a little bit for this team. You said you have a ton of thoughts on deadline acquisitions. Like, What is the best upgrade this team can make?
Center field. To me, center field, because I think that's where you see the biggest delta in terms of the bat, number one. And also, I think it can put the rest of the lineup. It's the you don't have to move things around. Like you can do a 1-for-1 replacement in center field and feel good about things. And I think there are center field options out there. And I keep mentioning Duran. He's controlled through 2028, age 28 season. So he's a lefty bat. So he doesn't necessarily help you there. Dombrowski has a background with him. I think that's the place where I would look first.
Yeah, they have to do something about this outfield to go into and in 2022 it worked to some degree, but to go into yet another season and we're kind of piecing our outfield together. How can that be with this payroll that you are piecing the outfield together? Where yes, our center fielder is also our left fielder. We signed this left fielder. He's There's just so many moving parts out there that, Nick Castellanos, one of the most inconsistent hitters, is absolutely our most consistent outfielder. Like, that's the situation the Phillies are in now. There just has to be, I think, more stability. Like, give Brandon Marsh a position and just kind of let that work, because he has been so good for them in spurts. And then he goes through periods where you go, what is this guy doing?
You're right.
But he's, like, right now, I think since the beginning of June, he's been excellent. And if you can just give him one thing, like, okay, man, you're our everyday left fielder. Figure it out.
So what does Max Kepler think about that?
What does Max Kepler? Max Kepler thinks he needs to hit his weight. That's what Max Kepler needs to think about that.
It's a good way
hit
of putting
the ball
it.
And we can talk. But like, if you're just listen, if it's Marsh in center and Kepler in left, and because Kepler starts hitting, that's fine. If it's all right, we have this stability. This idea that we have like a 3-person platoon in the 2 of our 3 outfield spots seems crazy to me for a World Series contending team.
Yeah, you need, I mean, it's like the rules of baseball. You need your outfielders to hit, right? I mean, you can take platoon situations in one of those spots. You can take, mediocre hitting at a high leverage defensive spot, but you need your outfielders to hit. And I've always been a Luis Robert guy. I understand that he's kind of had a down year the past few years, but he's also under team control through 27. He's young. There could be a change of scenery benefit. I would absolutely look to upgrade at center field. But I think the variable here that people keep bringing up, and I'm curious your thoughts, is if you think Justin Crawford can be like that deadline acquisition, if you just turn it to the kids.
I do think Andrew Painter can be that. I think a rookie can have a big impact, but most typically an arm.
Yeah.
It takes so long to learn to hit major league pitching that if you come up and do it, like, you're a superstar. Then why isn't he up here now?
Yeah.
He's going to be that much more ready in 3 weeks than he is right now, that he can't handle major league pitching, but in August he will.
Yeah.
Why? Why would that be the case? I'm not confident. It'll be cool. It'd be a lot of fun. Calling guys up is inherently fun.
Yes.
Oh, a shiny new toy that we know nothing about. Like we always say on the Flyer Show. Could be a boat.
Yep.
It's a mystery box.
Yes.
Like, it seems like a low-level possibility. Like there's a very little chance he comes up and affects this team's lineup in a major way. They had a hole in center and now they don't.
Yeah.
That would be surprising. Why isn't he here today then? Because they have a hole in center right now.
Yeah, it's the challenge here, because you look at it and you say your best player in AAA right now is a center fielder. You need a center fielder.
We need a center fielder.
It's a former first-round pick. What I like about Crawford is he gets his bat on the ball. What I don't like about Crawford is that ball is often on the ground, right? I mean, he has a 60% ground ball rate this year, and so I tend to want a little more launch from my outfielders there, but you know that he's not going to strike out like a crazy percentage. That he brings speed, he can field the position, but it's a stretch to say that you're in this championship window and you have this center fielder in AAA who you have questions about, and that's going to be the answer. I would feel much more comfortable going after someone who's still in his 20s, who's under team control, and who's shown he can do it against big league pitching.
That's Luis Roberts so intriguing to me, because Yes, he has not been good the last couple of years. They're hoping like to increase his value. That's why they haven't traded him. Like, just get hot so we can trade you. And it's just going the other way. Also, he plays for the White Sox. And if ever there was, can we really judge it? It's the historically bad Chicago White Sox. Yeah, he needs to change the scenery. Baseball's a long season when you're on the best team. When it's, I'm going to work to get my ass kicked today. It is day 84 of 162. I bet you don't have your A game a lot.
No, you're right.
I'm willing to bet that there's some sort of bounce back for him. But because of the numbers, I'm not willing to pay a premium price. Like, he hasn't been good in 2 years. So no, but it does kind of feel like if you can bank on anyone, just a little change of scenery, why wouldn't it be someone off of the freaking White Sox?
Yeah, and there's a major difference batting in a lineup with Kyle Schwarber and Trey Turner and Bryce Harper than there is with Miguel Vargas and Kyle Teal. It's different there, and you've seen the raw power with him, right? You obviously there's the strikeout part of it. The batting average is low, but the high watermark is so appealing, and the age is so appealing, and the change of scenery is there. And I don't think the price would be so prohibitive at this point that's where I would turn.
Yeah, that's I think that might be like the best bang for your buck option. And in that case, I would love Justin Crawford as an insurance policy. But now we get into this, so we're going to call him up and not play him every day. How does that help him become the player he can be? They're in a weird spot because it doesn't feel like the end, but they're closer to the end of this current window than like, it's not wide open. Like, they didn't just sign Bryce Harper. He's halfway through that contract already.
Right. How about this Flyers comparison real quick, though? Do you see Robert with Trevor Zegras? Do you think there's that comparison?
Yes, that is the absolute, like, yeah, man, you're just in a bad situation. Trevor Zegras is in a spot where his coach is got the personality of John Tortorella, but isn't close to as good. So he's just being a jerk and telling like, your natural position, you don't play that anymore. Also, we're terrible, and there's no one to make you better because it's nothing but young guys. Like, it's a very good comparison. You bring someone over, and then, like you said, put them in this lineup. Yeah, they probably look different than they do for a 100-loss team. I would absolutely say there's a decent comparison there. All right, let's take our next break so I can tell you about Parx Casino.
Yeah, I always enjoy talking about Parx Casino because whether your favorite team wins or not, there's always another way to win on the BetParx online casino app. Check out brand new casino games like Huff and More Puff, I should say. Fire Blaze Sky Queen, a BetParx exclusive. The only app I ever use to play all my favorite casino games in the palm of my hand. Play blackjack, which is my personal favorite. Roulette, craps, poker, baccarat, and hot online slots like Cash Eruption, 88 Fortunes, and a Cleopatra online slots. Play hot online slots based on your favorite streaming shows: Walking Dead, Squid Game, Breaking Bad, and Peaky Blinders, and all the games wherever you are. The new users can get up to $1,000 in casino bonus bets back if you're down in the first 24 hours. Go to betparx.com and download the app right now and enjoy all the action and excitement from the casino at your fingertips. You must be 21 and in PA, New Jersey, Maryland, and Michigan for BetParx. You love to play. You play to win. You bet. BetParx. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now it's time to tell you about Empire Today. That's right, because I've been telling the PHLY Flyers audience for like over a year now. There's just no other place to get new flooring, and it's for one simple reason. It's Empire has the flooring experts. We've all been to the big box store thinking, all right, I'll just go ask someone. I basically took the measurements myself, and yeah, I can get this project done. It shouldn't be a big deal. And then you get there, and the person you ask has less of an idea than you do about this. You eventually get the materials. You hope the measurements are right. You get home, and halfway through the project, you go, what am I, a handyman? I have no idea what I'm doing. I need to hire a contractor now. And the whole thing is a mess. Well, with Empire Today, that's never a concern because they are with you every step of the way. Those experts who live and breathe flooring, and they can do something no big box store will do. Bring the showroom to your home. That's right. You can pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space in your space. See how it all looks with your furniture up against the colors in your house and all that. And they take those precise measurements for you and have all your questions answered, so there are never any surprises. And with Empire today, you get clear upfront and all-inclusive pricing, and you can schedule installation as soon as the next day because no one wants to wait around. So schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. At PHLY listeners, you can receive a $350 discount when using promo code PHLY. You heard that right. $350 off with code PHLY. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/PHLY for full details. I am hoping for an active deadline. I just kind of feel like this will be more around the margins kind of stuff like we've seen in the past.
I don't like that. Yeah.
I don't like it. That appears to be the MO, and I don't think they're going to want to move the prospects it's going to take to get the higher end guys.
What's your favorite trade? Your favorite trade deadline?
Favorite trade deadline?
Because I feel like the NHL trade deadline is the most fun.
It is. There does seem to be a lot more movement in the NHL. Like baseball, I feel most teams have done it's calmed down a lot.
Sure.
And with the post waiver deadline, I just feel like everything's changed a little bit in baseball. And with so many teams added to the postseason, there's like 3 teams that aren't in it.
Yes.
And yeah, man, if you're out of it halfway through the year, you probably don't have that many good players. So baseball has changed a lot with some rule changes. I do love the NHL trade deadline. It's a hard show to do. It's an all freaking day show.
Yes.
But
real stuff happens.
It's a pretty fun deadline.
Yes.
Yeah, like big players get moved,
Yeah.
or at least are attempted to move, and then you get, they exercised their no trade. That's fun. Like there does seem to be a lot more that happens in the NHL. MLB used to be fun.
Exactly.
And they've just, man, every team's in it. That's good because you want people going to the ballpark to watch meaningful games. I get it. But it does make the deadline less interesting.
So what I always like about the NHL deadline is like the term that's a hockey trade, because you see legitimately like we'll trade our good player for your good player. And that's always fun, right? Because that's what you do if you're playing fantasy hockey or fantasy baseball, fantasy football. The NBA trade deadline is there's like a lot of anticipation for not enough action.
Yeah.
I feel like, but when there is a move, it's a big move. Like Luka this year, that was before the deadline, but that was fun. NFL, I wish there was more. These newer GMs are starting to get more into it, but
other teams have realized, like Howie Roseman, there isn't a rule that says only Howie can execute trades. You're allowed to make trades.
My issue with the baseball deadline for a long time was the July 31st deadline and then the waiver deadline. Which always, I found it to be so anticlimactic. Like, you're like, wait, when did this guy get traded? He's like, oh, he was a waiver move. And I'm like, so what's the actual deadline that they have? But you're right. The baseball deadline used to be more fun. Now it's often like it's prospects for an expensive player or an expiring contract.
Yeah, I want to do just one more baseball thing and get some football in because I have Zach Berman, so I'm going to talk some freaking birds. I just read this Rob Thompson quote and it cracked me up. So Taijuan Walker is coming into the rotation, and it's a story about that happening. And they said his move to the pen was kind of it was going to be permanent, and now it's we're moving some guys around. McAble comes out, and we're not bringing up Painter yet, so. Taijuan, you're back in the rotation, at least for now. And it just cracked me up. Rob Thompson, and I know. What the hell is he going to say? It's one of his guys. But he goes, he'll do anything for the ball club because he's that type of guy. It's like, he's being paid $18 million to stink. Yeah. And this is the 3rd year of a 4-year deal where that's going to happen. He's being asked to show up to work.
Yes.
That's it. It just made me like, I know. What is he going to say? But he'll do anything for the club. Pitch. We're asking you to pitch. You're a pitcher. You're getting paid exorbitantly to do so. It made me really laugh. And I had to go get a journalism degree to realize I can't be a journalist. Like, you know what? I can't do this. I hate this. Like, you have to get these quotes because like the audience demands the access. And it just, when I see this in the story, I go, man, he gave you nothing and you had to write Like he's that type of guy.
Yeah.
You had like who wrote this story. It was Lachlan March.
Yes.
Like just writing that had to be laughing. You had to laugh when you wrote that quote. Like, oh, he's that type of guy. Sure, Rob. Like that. I just it cracked me up when I read that this morning.
Yeah, you're right. I've been in that spot quite a bit. It's not as if they're asking him to play third base, right?
No,
I mean, that would be doing anything for the club,
he's
right?
selling hot dogs, man.
Yeah,
There's was Aaron Marks on strike. We needed somebody. He's out there selling hot dogs.
Yeah, you're signed to be a pitcher. I know the expectation was that he were to start. The reality is, if he was pitching the way that they expected him to,
he'd been in the rotation the whole time.
He would be in the rotation. So that's kind of the reality of it. I understand. You know, Rob Thompson. Like, I'm not telling you. I'm telling the audience here. Oftentimes, when a coach or a GM or a manager is speaking, they're not speaking to the reporter. They're speaking to the player, right? Because as much as the players say they don't read, every quote gets back to them. And so this has been the case with Sirianni. This has been the case with Peterson. This is the case with Howie Roseman. Like, they're using me to talk to you. You know, so it's like you're just the intermediary between the coach and the player in that case.
It's funny. I had so much optimism for Taijuan Walker. I looked at him and was like, this could be our next Zack Wheeler. This could be the exact same thing. Just hasn't really gone that way. But yeah, in terms of speaking through the media, we know Taijuan Walker sees everything. Like, we see him respond on social media. He is very aware of what is being said about him. So you absolutely have to maybe not tread lightly, but just be like, I know I told you one thing and now it's another thing. Thanks.
By the way,
you know?
that if I were a professional athlete, that's exactly how I would be.
I would be constantly.
I would be
Kevin Durant.
Yeah, exactly. I would be responding. I would be like, it would be, you know, if I owned a pizza shop, and someone put a bad Yelp review, I would be, all right, how can we make this pizza better? So I guess I can empathize with Taijuan Walker there. I do it with our show. I mean, I read every comment. I read every message board. I'm like, all right, this wasn't a good show. How can it be better? Yeah.
Especially when, like, if I do a show like today's, if I'm filling in for Gargano, it's not my typical audience. I'm like, I know what the Flyers audience thinks. They've been with us a long, long time. I'm like, this is probably a lot of people who aren't that familiar. Let me go back and read the comments.
You're natural.
Why am I doing this? No. Why am I doing this to myself?
No, you're natural at this.
Like, you're a high-level athlete. It's so much more because the whole world is watching.
I am like you say that you have to go to journalism school not to be a journalist. I wouldn't put it that way, but I am so impressed with like those with the radio background who can just talk, right? And it's like the microphone's on. You know how long the show's going to be, and you can. Now. I know Anthony has like the writing background, but I'm so impressed when I watch Anthony's show, and I'm like, man, you had me captivated for 2 hours there. Not
you have
once
been yelling about I don't even know, and this is a great show.
Yeah,
it's a tremendously entertaining show. And it's like and he's just Anthony's absolutely freaking incrable. And I think that's why I realized I don't like journalism. No, I want to hear what I have to say. I don't care what he says. I want to say what I think about him.
But that's like if I tune into the Flyers show on like August 18th. Like that's where Bill like really differentiates himself, because if you're making the Flyers interesting on August 18th, that's the beauty of it.
We've been joking. Like, we're looking at the Flyers right now. We have light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, this team might be good one day. Yeah, I mean, Charlie and Kelly are just sitting there. Do we even know how to do that show? We're gonna have to ask. Like, we're gonna have to ask the Eagles guys or something. Like, so you're just like in a good mood all the time. Like, you're not. It's not like you're getting mad about bottom of the roster decisions because the top of the roster doesn't even exist yet. Like, I don't even know how we're gonna talk about the team when they're any good. I'm good at this now. I'm like, playoffs. We're gonna do playoff post games. Ooh, that'll be something brand new to try.
But the flip side to that is there's nothing to complain about, because like the trump card is they just won the Super Bowl. Yep. So if you're like, the Bryce Huff trade didn't work out, then the comment is like, they just won the Super Bowl, right? So
that was the funniest. Like, I can't remember who tweeted it, but the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl. Their highest price free agent signing, complete bust. Barely played. Wasn't good when he was in there. Yep. That doesn't happen. And it's like, well, they also got Saquon. So
Yes.
that helped.
That works.
They
Zack
were
Wheeler,
already a freaking awesome
Yes.
team, so it all works out. But I'm gonna need some advice when they get good.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
You're just so they won. Cool.
What you do
That's the end of the show.
yeah, you compare everything to the Super Bowl season,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So we have a show at 2:00, Fran and I today, where we're breaking down the quarterbacks leading in the training camp, and like the first 20 minutes of the show will be, all right, Jaylen Hurts was the Super Bowl MVP. Can he be better than that, right? So.
Well, now he needs a regular season
Yes, it's
MVP,
true. Yeah,
obviously.
exactly.
Oh, he only shows up in the
Yes.
postseason?
Yes.
That's-
And then you do 20 minutes on is it Kyle McCord or is it Dorian Thompson-Robinson as the number 3 quarterback?
well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you know what? I do love the bottom of the roster stuff in the NFL because I'm going to see this guy because growing up, yeah, man, AJ Feely, this guy rules.
Yes.
I have a Coy and a Ty Detmer jersey.
Yeah.
I like to know who those dudes are.
Exactly.
So I'm looking forward to that. I do want to, let's get into some football here, almost 10:30 now. And I'm going to talk some birds, but first, God bless the Dallas Cowboys. There are 31 NFL teams.
Yep.
And then a reality show.
Yeah.
Owned by Jerry Jones. I love the Dallas Cowboys reality show so much. It just gives me so much joy. Like seeing now all grown up, all the bandwagon kids, like when I was wearing my Ty Detmer jersey and they were making fun of me at school because they had Emmitt Smith jerseys. Now it's like, you're all Eagles fans now, huh?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yes.
Weird. And the Cowboys have just fallen so far from what they were. They had, it's not even that interesting a story, but their kick returner, Kevontae Turpin, arrested 2 misdemeanors, possession of weed and a handgun, which immediately you mentioned Chip Kelly guys earlier. Josh Huff style.
Josh Huff style, yeah. He's just not on the bridge, right?
He's just not on the bridge coming up from practice. But
Yeah.
it's just, the Cowboys are a constant source of ridiculousness for this league to the point I almost think they're trying to be this way. Like, actually, no, we don't need to win Super Bowls anymore. We'd rather just be ridiculous.
Yeah, well, the reality show of it from like a reporter's perspective, that seems so much fun that, you know, I'm envious of our DLLS crew. Like there's always something to talk about there, you know, because now they haven't had that success on the field. It's easy to poke fun at them there, but from a storyline perspective, now whether it's Turpin being arrested or like something Jerry Jones says, you know, they have this documentary coming out on Netflix on Jerry Jones later this summer. There's never a shortage of content when it comes to the Cowboys, and like I love content.
Can you just imagine if Jeffrey Lurie like had his own radio show and like openly talked about his coach on it? Like, I don't know about that fourth down decision. I'm gonna have to talk to him. But like, you can't get anything out of like he does his State of the Union, and he's in the background. He seems to have taken on more football operations roles. Like, listen, he's owned the team for like 30 years now. He's learned something, and they're doing pretty well. So cool. But he doesn't make himself at all the story where Jerry Jones, it's like, oh, who's the big star in the Cowboys? It is Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
That's 100%. There won't be a bigger star than Jerry until he's gone from that organization.
So Jerry talks after every game.
After every game.
Which is a reporter's dream. But so look, the people watching the show, you don't care about the reporters, right? But like this is how I would frame it. Imagine tuning in to the PHLY Eagles show post game, and you got Bo, and you got Vinny, you got Jamie, you got Fran. And instead of talking about what Sirianni said, you're talking about what Jeffrey Lurie said every single game, giving like this, you know, the state of the team address every week. So Dak Prescott, so Jaylen Hurts had a weak game. Let's hear what Jeffrey Lurie has to say about it. I mean that would make for a compelling show.
Clearly, they would never have any success because look what's going on with Dallas.
Yes.
But that would be awesome. Just we talk about Nick Sirianni's role now. Like, what exactly does Sirianni do? And it's all of a sudden, he gets trumped. His boss openly comes out and is just like, "I got this. Go back there."
Yeah, so
like, I'll talk to the media.
So let me ask you this here. So I'm asking the chat if you can weigh in, and I'll give you guys like 10 seconds. Who can name the Dallas Cowboys head coach? And the reason I ask this question is because most teams, like, you would know who the head coach is, right? How many people here? So the answer is Brian Schottenheimer, okay? How many of you know what Brian Schottenheimer looks like? How many of you know what Brian Schottenheimer sounds like? How many of you know what Brian Schottenheimer's job was last year? Okay, but you all know Jerry
And
Jones.
That's America's team.
Yes.
They are still on 4 o'clock on Fox every single week. Like, that is really, I hadn't thought about that, and I had to stop and go, wait, did Kellen Moore get that job? Who is their
because the coach,
that's incredible.
Yeah, the coach can never be more popular than the owner there.
No.
Yeah.
And that's one of those prerequisites. Like and I get it. Like the Montreal Canadiens, you have to speak French.
Yes.
It's their fans speak French, and it's the prerequisite. I'm like, so what if the greatest coach in the world was available? You're just like, can't do it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get an interpreter. No. Like, and that's a thing that makes sense. All right, but it's your audience and most of your players. French. All right. This is just simply, I'm the star of the show. You can't be.
Yes.
That limits your pool so much.
Yeah.
It's the thing we talk about with the Flyers. Maybe the best GM in the world is a former Flyer.
Mm-hmm.
But your options are limited. Like, maybe not. What if he isn't? Like, you're going to have to get lucky. The Dallas Cowboys at this point are just going to have to get lucky. That's their, oh, man, we got the quarterback. We drafted 10th and ended up with Mahomes, and then someone fired Andy Reid and we got him. Like, it's going to have to be straight up luck for them to overcome the hole they've dug themselves in, and it just makes me so happy.
Now they were a 12-win team, 3 seasons in a row. When South last year, I got into a big debate with Anthony on the show a few weeks ago because I think the Cowboys are the second best team in the NFC East. I would take them over the Commanders, but I recognize the excitement about the Commanders after last year.
Yeah, I would. You're probably right, like roster top to bottom. You go, oh, yeah, they still, that D-line, like, okay. But the sample size is so large on them. Like, okay, you won your 12 games. You may have even won the division. You may have even beaten the Eagles a time. You're not going to the NFC title game. You're not going to win 1 or 2 playoff games. You're definitely not going to do it on the road. Whereas at least Washington has shown the ability to win 1 or 2. Like, it's all right. Yeah, they got killed in the NFC title game, as they should have.
Yes.
It was very much when the Eagles went to that first one against the Rams in 2001.
Yeah, 2001.
2001. Yeah, like it was a shock that was as much of a game as it was.
Yes.
That's kind of what I was like. That was the feeling going into that. Oh, this is Washington's house money season.
Yes, exactly.
And at least they've already progressed further than Dallas has in 30 years. They've done that now. So, but top to bottom, it's probably still Dallas's roster, I would take.
Yeah, and look, they need to figure out the Micah Parsons contract situation. George Pickens is volatile, but I like what you said about the house money year because that can always go in 2 ways. You can always be the team that the Jaguars made the AFC Championship game when the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 17. They lost to the Patriots. They had to lead, if you remember, and then the Jags never rebounded from there. Or you could be like what the Eagles were in 2001. And then you make the championship game the next few years. But the house money year is always like the most fun year because it comes out of nowhere. The characters are new. Like Jaden, you're like, all right. Then once the expectations come, that's when it's harder to hit.
No, once you now have, Washington, they should challenge the Eagles for the division.
Yep.
They should be better than the Cowboys. It's almost like a sophomore slump season for your team.
Exactly.
Like we had this up here, and then it's harder getting back.
Yes.
It's when you're playing that week 4 game, like in Jacksonville, that is not nearly as fun as playing a home playoff game. How do you get back to that level so that you can play that playoff game eventually? Like that does seem to be the sustained success hardest thing to do. That's what what the Patriots did was incredible. What the Eagles have put together for this time. Yes, now they've had the Super Bowl success, but just being good for the majority of this century. Really difficult. It's so hard to repeat, and we'll see if Washington can do that. But I just think they seem to have it better than Dallas. They've now accomplished something Dallas hasn't.
Yeah, and they have an ascending quarterback, and they have
that thing that, hey man, the sky could be the limit for this guy. This could be one of the next great quarterbacks. Whereas, Dak's fine, but we know what he is. That is a solved equation.
Yes. And it's if you take off like the Eagles hat, there's very few things more fun than like having that young ascending player who you're like, this guy's gonna be the star. Probably like, Flyers fans right now, where you get excited. All right, this is what the next decade's gonna look like.
No, that's got to be. It's definitely an exciting. The NFL product, I just don't think has been very good the last few years. I think it's living off of this Brady, Manning, like this era of awesome quarterback play, and like the game completely went that way. And now you see like, teams are running the ball again. Why do you think that is?
Yes.
Like, it's not. Yes, defenses are built to stop the pass. So there's 8 freaking D-backs out here. Let's just run it up the middle. Sure, but it's also because you can't count on every quarterback to throw for 5,000 yards at 70%. It's just not the same level of quarterback play. And like Daniels is kind of, this could be finally a new generation of guys. It's just kind of been Mahomes and some others for a little bit. Like Rodgers is done. Herbert hasn't lived up to what we thought he was going to be. Like, it just hasn't been that next class. And it's like, maybe Jaden Daniels is that guy that could make Sundays a little bit more entertaining.
Or you sign Saquon for, $13 million a year and watch him rush for 2,000 yards.
Hey, I am all for figuring out, like, going in a different direction. And, we just saw the Eagles do that. And like in this ESPN article, they say, I think 7 teams averaged 140 rushing yards a game. And ESPN is doing their positional rankings. And the first one that came out is the top 10 running backs. And number 1 is, it makes a ton of sense. Saquon Barkley, 2,000 yards and a Super Bowl ring. The record for most regular and postseason yards. He was just a freaking beast. I was wondering if they would try to do, well, actually, it was Derrick Henry, but the Eagles have that great O-line, so we'll make Saquon 3rd. He had a great year and all. But no, the Saquon number 1. And like scrolling through the list, it feels like there will be more of an emphasis on rushing the ball again because, the last few years you go through and you're at your fantasy draft. I got to get a running back because after like 3, there's no more. It feels like it is kind of going the other way where quarterbacks are, it's Mahomes and everyone else. And now there's another, like a fresh crop of running backs. That's great. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the NFL goes with is it going to be 8, 12, 15 teams that are like, we're 50-50 or more. We're 140 on the ground or more. Do you think it's going to totally shift in that direction?
I do think with the way defenses are playing now, where it's like prevent the big play over top, that defense that fans hated with Gannon, but they love with Fangio. There's a thought, all right, you can run against that defense. The safeties are playing deep. They're not playing closer to the line. So naturally you have to do it. But I think what the Eagles showed last year is that there was often this thought that like running backs are fungible, that you can just insert, if you think back to like the time we were growing up, and then the Broncos would have Mike Anderson one year, Alondis Gary the next year, right? And like they would just and so there was a thought that all right, the position's being devalued, and it is true that if you have a really good offensive line, you have a young running back, he can make it work. But what I think the NFL has seen is the elite running backs matter. Like there's a reason why Saquon, the Eagles were really good with Miles Sanders. They were really good with DeAndre Swift. Saquon Barkley comes behind that same offensive line with the same quarterback, with the same receivers, and he has the best season, perhaps the best season a running back has ever had. So the elite players matter. Now, the flip side to that is if we were to look at this list last year, I imagine Christian McCaffrey was number 1, and then McCaffrey's not number 1 this year. Saquon had nearly 500 touches last year, and you just wonder, like, what's that year 2 like for him?
That's now because I remember when the Eagles signed DeMarco Murray, you mentioned earlier. Like everyone was, well, you look at that touch list, and it's anyone who had that many carries, that many total touches, a year, 2 years in a row. The following season goes very poorly for them, and that was that DeMarco Murray year. I am crossing my fingers that Saquon, and it looks like this could be the case because he's already kind of at that spot, like that second, third contract spot where you go, oh, do you keep him? And then he went for 2,000. Also, this O-line. It's a lot easier getting hit by a corner than it is a linebacker.
You're right.
They protect him pretty well. But, like, do you think they have to shelter him a little bit this season compared to last year?
Well, I think they're going to. First of all, I think they're going to pass the ball more. And I've been saying this throughout the offseason that I don't think A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are on $100 million contracts to block, right? And it worked last year. I think this year you're going to see more passing. But in Saquon's case, like history hasn't shown that he has these back-to-back seasons where it's nothing against Saquon. It's a position where you get injured more. He's coming off a lot of touches. It would surprise me if they can rely on that same type of Saquon season this year that they had last year. So I do think there's going to be a bit of a step back. It's not to say it's like Christian McCaffrey last year where he misses, double-digit games. But I think that if you're forecasting the Eagles' offense this year, look for more A.J. Brown. Look for more Devontae Smith. Look for Jaylen Hurts to pass the ball more. I don't think it's going to be like they run at the same rate and they hold Saquon back, and then Will Shipley's getting 15 carries a game.
Is it putting the ball in the hands of your elite players makes the most sense. So maybe it makes sense for us to run a little, but if we're gonna take it away from Saquon, putting it in Will Shipley's hands. Maybe that's not the answer when we have these two receivers. We're bringing back Dallas Goedert. Like, that probably makes the most sense. The running game has just been so effective for them, though. Like, they were gashing you go back to that NFC title game. It's like,
you're right.
Yeah, this wasn't just Saquon. Now, Saquon's awesome, and it leads to why the position got devalued. Like, you can do it with anyone if you have the right O-line, if you have the right play calling. But when you have that elite guy, and then he goes for 2,000. That's the difference. It's that 8-yard gain becomes a 65-yard gain because you have the elite guy. But it's not as if these running backs in small sample sizes haven't had success too.
Yeah, and that was the Eagles' intention with signing Saquon, was the yards after contact and those electric runs. But to the point you made about running the ball, I talk to Lane Johnson about this seemingly every year, where it's like there will be a point in the season, invariably, where the offense is struggling a bit, and the solution's always, let's get back to the run. And so Lane's always like, why don't we just run?
What if we just started running?
Exactly.
You know what's probably really easy for A.J. Brown to have single coverage?
Exactly.
This is nice.
Yeah.
They think they're running. It probably works for everybody, but I do wonder, teams are going to, obviously, this O-line, Saquon, the season he had, you need to try to stack this box. And I do wonder so it makes a little X's and O's sense.
Sure.
8 guys, we're throwing to the outside.
Yes.
That's just football. But if there is a little too of A.J. Brown being like, would like a few more,
and
maybe like a few more.
And he deserves a few more, right?
There's no reason he's not a 12, 13, 1,500-yard receiver. And Devontae didn't go over 1,000 last year, and AJ just broke 1,000 instead of being at 1,400. Like, these guys should put up those numbers, and they are that good. It's not like he's nuts to be like, I'm over here too.
And I think back to a conversation with Jason Kelsey after the 2022 season, where he was like, opposing teams spent the entire offseason watching our offense, right? Figuring out what we do. So what's your counterpunch? And I think part of the issue with the Eagles in 2023, there were a lot of issues there, but they didn't evolve. It was just like, all right, we're going to do what we did last year, and we're going to try to do it better. And I think it would be a mistake for the Eagles if they're like, all right, let's just double down on what worked last year. Because look, you can say you have that offensive line, you have Saquon Barkley, you'll be able to run on anybody. But it is true, teams are going to go into this year figuring out ways to limit Saquon. By the way, Kansas City tried doing that in the Super Bowl, and it kind of worked.
He didn't have a crazy game.
Exactly.
It's just like the Eagles have stars at every position, and the defense dominated, so it didn't matter.
And so that goes into kind of the subject of the PHLY Eagles show today, which is like, all right, when that happens, because it's going to happen, can Jaylen be the player he was in the Super Bowl? Because look, if Jalen's throwing the dagger to bring that back up with Devontae, if you're getting the ball out the way he is, if you're making these great throws when he is, this team talent wise is still like it's the best team in the league. The offense hasn't had many changes, right? I mean,
offense.
they lost their right guard, and their starting right guard this year is likely going to be someone who's been with the team the past 2 years. So the offensive coordinator's new, but he's been with the team since 2021, and has had a prominent role in the offense. So there's really, I mean, barring injuries, like the continuity's there. So it's just a matter of which lever do you pull, and I think they're going to be pulling that lever of passing the ball.
It would make sense. Again, it's not like they don't have the horses to do it. I know Jaylen has been inconsistent, but I'm very much a Jaylen believer.
Yes.
It was one of my things going into his the 2022 Super Bowl year. I would be on WIP 2 a.m. I'd be like, I'm going to give the Phillies an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to talk Phillies. And then inevitably after I got 2 phone calls in an hour, I was like, all right, time to have Jaylen takes.
Yes.
And I've always been a supporter because he's just so like, he's a badass. You just have to believe in something. I don't know if a quarterback can improve enough for him to be what he needs to be going forward. And then like he has a year where if he stays healthy, he wins MVP and they go to the Super Bowl. And he's amazing in that Super Bowl. But like I now just think there's even more pressure because anyone is going to step up. It's him in this world of, oh my, it's not even him. He has this O-line. He has this running back, these receivers. And now there's going to just be a little bit more put on him. And I'm looking forward to seeing him like, oh, I accepted that challenge. Because he has been so good in clutch situations that I just want to see a little bit of that consistency in the regular season. And we're looking at another like 14-win season and going back again.
Well, first off, I would say there's nothing with that approach you did at 2 a.m. Like, my first job out of college, I was covering Virginia Tech. All right, and they had a quarterback controversy with Tyrod Taylor and Sean Glennon. And I was writing this like every week, Tyrod Taylor, Sean Glennon. And I said to my editor, like, I want to write a story about Cam Martin. He was like an outside linebacker for them. And my editor's like, all anyone cares about right now is Sean Glennon and Tyrod Taylor.
I guess we can give you a sidebar.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like when people say you talk about Jaylen too much, that's because people want to hear about Jaylen.
It's the quarterback.
Exactly.
We have made the quarterback.
Yes.
That is the thing about Jaylen discourse that drives me nuts, I think, at this point, is we made the quarterback the be-all, end-all, and wins matter, and that's what they do, until it was him, and then the conversation changed. It's like, well, but his stats.
Yes.
I was like, whoa. Remember the first 7 times Tom Brady went to the Super Bowl? We didn't care about the stats then, and then he started putting up the big numbers later on. But, like, we never cared about that. It was always the winning. Like, oh, yes, Troy Aikman obviously has to be in the Hall of Fame. You're crazy if you don't think that's what matters. Like, all right, well, no, it doesn't count with Jaylen. It just feels like there's this little, I don't know what it is, but there's this, it makes me like Jaylen more that there's constantly some sort of narrative about him.
Yeah, I always say, what more does Jaylen need to do in that he's made the Super Bowl twice, and maybe the 2 best games he's ever played were in the Super Bowls. So I get it. Like on a week-to-week basis, there can be more consistency passing the ball.
Sure.
But the best years of A.J. Brown's career have come with Jaylen Hurts at quarterback. Devontae Smith has had like the best start to his career of any Eagles wide receiver ever, and it's come with Jaylen Hurts at quarterback. Also, you saw Gardner Minshew start 4 games for the Eagles, and like there were mixed results.
It went all right.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Like, and then you saw Jaylen come in, and the offense looked better. So
immediately,
I know our viewers and listeners tend to peg me as a Jaylen guy, and I've had this debate with Anthony a number of times, and look, it doesn't always look the way it does with Burrow. It doesn't always look the way it does with Mahomes or Allen, but I can tell you that they're in the winner's circle quite a bit. And when they've been in the Super Bowls, he's had the best games that you could ask from him. And so, like, the win Super Bowl MVP, call me a Jaylen guy, it's working. Like, it's clearly working.
I mean, it seems to be going okay. Yeah. They've been to the playoffs every year, and they've been to the Super Bowl twice. It's hard to be like, oh, maybe they need to look to the future at that position. Like, I think it seems to be, they never lose.
No,
that's
exactly.
They lose very rarely. And typically it's, Oh yeah, well Jaylen, he got knocked out in the first quarter. That's the only game they lost after September, which is now.
Yes,
I think we have to start finally just looking at September as the preseason.
Yeah,
like after last
that's what Jeffrey
year,
Lurie says.
Like
exactly.
after the slow Patriot starts we saw, like the Aaron Rodgers, RELAX years, and now like what happened with the Eagles? You know what? First month of the season is now the preseason.
Yeah.
No one plays. It's just scrimmages, like barely any contact. And then week 1 rolls around and we're expecting them to look good.
Yeah.
They probably won't. They haven't practiced.
Yeah. And like I mean, I think 2023 is an example. You want a team that peaks in December and January and into February. And that was the case last season. I recall speaking to Jeffrey Lurie about this, and he said, he was talking to Belichick that like the best Patriots teams didn't really hit their stride until October.
Yeah, and that it really makes sense. And he's a guy who like he did have tougher camps back then and used his regular guys on special teams, and that's even his approach was that way. So I am looking forward to much like in the 2018 opener though. Oh, yeah, offense looked terrible the first half. We're booing them off the field. Because that happened. I was there. They dropped that banner, and the goodwill didn't last 30 minutes before that team was getting booed.
And Doug Peterson, he definitely recalls that.
It was incredible.
Yeah, Nick Sirianni's wife jokes with him that the first home game that Nick coached, they were losing at halftime, and Nick was getting booed, and it's like, it's the preseason, right? but that's what makes Philly special as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to the start of this football season. Do you get okay, here comes work, or are you like, thank God, like this has been boring, and I'm looking forward to it being fun again? Yeah,
it's the latter. Like I love the season. Maybe I'm a loser in that, like I don't have much that I do for
We're
fun.
counting down.
Yeah.
There's still 2 months before the season. We've had this countdown up since I'm pretty sure the parade.
Yeah, it's like people say, what do you do during the off season? And I look out the window and wait for the season to start. I can't wait for training camp. I can't wait for the season. I said earlier in the show, my body gets primed. Like I wouldn't know what to do. Like I don't know what like September, October, November, December is like as an adult without being at a football stadium on a Sunday. I don't know what a free Sunday is like during the fall, and I hope I never do.
No, and that's like end of hockey. By the end of hockey season, and this probably speaks to just how the seasons have gone. I'm like, I need this over with.
Yeah,
hockey's
different beast.
This just has to end. It's been meaningless since March.
Yes.
I'm done. But this time of year, I'm like, I could really use some stuff happening,
exactly.
but I'll enjoy the summer.
Yes.
But once training camp hits, I'm like, I'm looking forward to doing some post games and stuff again.
Yes,
like
exactly.
Just a different, and just watching hockey. Like I want to watch some good games, and I start to miss it. Not yet, but I probably start to miss it in August.
I'll
start missing it then, and then preseason will come. We'll go up and do. Hopefully, we're up in Allentown again.
Nice
for the rookie game. That's always a great time. And that's it. I'm not looking forward to it yet. It's still, I just got done, but it'll hit. It'll hit eventually.
So is it the games that gets you excited?
It's really the games. Okay. Yeah, like just getting to watch the games. And then that wears on you at the end. But looking forward to it's definitely we've been talking about these guys for months. I get to actually see them play.
Yes.
It's no longer what I think is going to happen.
Yep.
Me guessing, because that's all it is. Yeah, I think Trevor Zegras going to be good. Really hope so.
Yeah.
No freaking idea.
Yeah, you're right.
He wasn't good last year. I don't know. But and then you actually get to see it happen or not. I like being proved right or wrong. Like I like seeing what the conclusion is and then getting to draw more from there.
You're absolutely right. Like people say, what's your favorite part of the football week? And I say game day, without a doubt. Yeah. Right. Like, and I understand that to a certain extent, game day is like when the reporter's least important because every other day,
You're the only one. Yeah.
I'm where you're not. But the great thing about game day is like it's happening, and I don't know what's going to happen. Like if you don't enjoy the games, this is a hard job to do.
It is, and it is always fun going and just the atmosphere. I realize you're a journalist and can't be a fan, but part of you just has to enjoy it. Like,
oh
being
yeah,
part of
100%. You become desensitized, but you don't become dehumanized, right?
Yes,
and so like,
that's a great way to put it.
You walk through that parking lot, and you see the billows of smoke, and you see, and it's like, that's awesome. Like if you're skeptical about that, you're in the wrong business, because
Absolutely.
this is fun. Like the fans are why I have a job. So I would never, like, I know I have to have like the Big J journalist hat on, but I appreciate that fanaticism.
All right, and this was a lot of fun. This was a
fun.
good
I
time
enjoyed
just
this.
getting the BS a little sports with you. This has been the PHLY's Anthony Gargano Show. I had a great time today. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. If you haven't already, you got to be following us right here on YouTube. I don't know why you wouldn't. It doesn't cost you anything. It's the simplest thing in the world. Give us a like, hit the like button, and hit subscribe, and set your reminder bell so you never miss any of our shows when they go live. We have great Eagles coverage, great Phillies, great Flyers, if I do say so myself, great Sixers coverage as well. Everything. Get it all right here and for free on YouTube. All right, that's it. My name is Bill Matz. That is Zach Berman. Till tomorrow, be excellent to each other.
We all silly like the mayor.